Hello and welcome back to the Bright Light Wellness YouTube channel and the Bright Light Wellness Substack. This will be on both platforms, and I have another nutrition inspired episode for you today, actually from a client of mine who's like, "Can you do a episode about this? Because I have some people telling me I should avoid seed oils like the plague, and they're horrible, and da 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 da." And then some people saying, "Well, you actually need good sources of linoleic acid in your diet. So what's the balance? What's the nuanced conversation here?" So let's have a nuanced conversation about seed oils today and really have a good depth and understanding about these essential fatty acids and what they do in the body and how we can work with them. So really, this is about finding balance and not fear. Okay. I don't want to do any fear mongering on my channel. And we just are trying to reach a healthy balance in our body of what's needed. So most people, okay, are eating too much processed omega-6, okay, linoleic acid. Most people, if you eat out at restaurants, if you eat conventional pork, chicken, and eggs, if you use avocado oil, which is highly processed, rancid, and usually cut with other oils, if you're eating tons of nuts and seeds, if you eat anything that comes from a package or a box or that's cooked not from your home, you're likely encountering seed oil. So most people are, like in the everyday population, people are eating a lot of highly processed seed oils. And there's good reason for this conversation to be having because, oh, like when you're eating too much omega-6, there's a balance in the body between omega-3 and omega-6. These are two types of essential fatty acids, right? We have polyunsaturated fatty acids versus monounsaturated fatty acids, right? So there is a and saturated fats, of course. There is a balance between omega-6 and omega-3 in the body that we need to achieve, and that a good healthy body will have, and a good diet will have a balance of these things where actually we're eating a lot more saturated fats and just a little bit of linoleic and mono and polyunsaturated fats. Like we want to have some, but we don't want to have an excess. And so the pendulum has swung over the last 50, 60 years where people are like not eating a lot of saturated fat due to Ansel Keys and all of his dogma that he brought and how bad saturated fats are for the heart. I mean, I'm sure if you're in the health space, you've heard of this conversation before, but if you haven't, go learn about Ansel Keys and that a great book to read is The Great Cholesterol Myth. That's an excellent book to read on this. Anyway, so saturated fats were demonized, and then we started eating a lot more of these heart healthy, seed oils. This has been the push is to eat the more, highly processed seed oils like canola and soy and sunflower oil and corn and soybean and all of this, right? And it's in everything. It's in everything you try to buy. Like I was trying to buy cranberries and I was looking for dried cranberries or dried fruit that didn't have seed oils and it was like impossible. So it's literally in everything, okay, that you buy in a package or is processed or that you go into your food store and you get, right? So it's the pendulum has swung where we stopped eating saturated fats and we started consuming tons and tons and tons of polyunsaturated fats, right? So it's very disproportionary, right? And it's changed the fatty acid profile in our bodies and our physiology. And we want to consume like omega-3 and omega-6 in a much more balanced ratio where we're having more omega-3s, okay? Um, so anyway, if we have an imbalance in these fatty acids in our diet, it can contribute to inflammation, oxidative stress, metabolic dysfunction, thyroid issues, and makes us weak and susceptible. So of course, there's common industrial seed oils, that are highly refined. They're just if you ever look at like the how these things are processed, it's really gross and disgusting. But there's hexane in them, and they're like the what it takes to actually make a corn into an oil is like a whole process so it's very highly heated, highly processed, highly oxidized. And by the way, check supplements because a lot of times supplements have these items in them. But of course, soybean, corn, canola, cottonseed, safflower, sunflower, rapeseed, which is also grapeseed oil, rice bran, which is a tricky one that people don't realize is actually a seed oil, any kind of vegetable oil blends, and even avocado oil. It's not something that's highly natural, even though it comes from a fruit. It's not a good one for us to be consuming because it's The way that it's heated and processed is the issue. Even olive oil that's heated and processed is not good. I mean, you're getting a good cold pressed real olive oil. That's a different story. It's a great source of monounsaturated fats. But however, it shouldn't really be heated at a high temperature. A low saute, like if you're making like a tomato sauce and you're sauteing at a low temp, that's good. But if you're like frying in olive oil, that's probably not your best bet. Then it's becoming rancid and oxidized. Okay, they're delicate. They're very delicate. Saturated fats, if you put butter on your counter. I leave my butter out. It stays out actually in our like on top of our toaster oven and it's just sits out there. It doesn't go bad. It doesn't really need refrigeration. It stays hard, it stays solid. That's saturated. These other oils, they will turn they're liquids, right? It's different. There's a different composition, a liquid oil versus a solid saturated fat. Okay. Okay, so anyway, these are chemically extracted, highly refined, exposed to heat and oxidation during manufacturing. So they're not good for healthy. They're not, I'm never going to be saying that you should have these. Hidden sources. I mean, it's everywhere. I mean, if you eat out at a restaurant and take foods out, people don't realize how much they're eating because they go out to eat, they eat at restaurants, they use salad dressings, sauces, it's in crackers, it's in chips, it's in protein bars, it's in nut butters, of course, nut butters that have added seed oils. I'm not saying you should completely avoid nut butters personally myself. Some people might say that, but I'm not saying you need to completely avoid them. Should you eat nut butters in excess? Probably not on a daily basis. We don't need to completely avoid them, but you do want to avoid nut butters that have an other forms of like you'll see like, almond butter, but it's got other oils in it. That's not, we don't want that. Okay. Any kind of frozen meals, breads, baked goods for sure. Certainly dairy-free milks and creamers usually have tons of this. Mayo, hummus, pestos, dips, all the kinds of things. Any kind of quote unquote healthy packaged snack items, there's usually seed oils in them. So people are eating clean and then unknowingly consuming large amounts of this, and this contributes to a variety of health dysfunction in your body. We're made of fatty acids, right? Like our cell membranes are made of fatty acids. And we do want to be having more saturated fats than polyunsaturated fats, excuse me. So, okay. So another hidden source is if you eat corn, well, not, I'm sorry, if you eat animals that are monogastric, like chicken, turkey, and pork, with they have only one stomach like us, and those animals are fed corn and soy, then you are also getting that same fatty acid profile because we're eating the fats of the animal. So then we're gaining that in our fatty acid profile, right? So it's literally like we're having a high source of linoleic acid in the diet when we're eating eggs from chickens that are fed corn and soy. I've been eating corn and soy-free eggs since 2021. I have also been buying from Dutch Metal Farms. I promote them all the time. I've been buying their chicken, their pork, which is fed grass-fed milk, and their eggs and their turkey, all from them because the fatty acid profile of the animal is the fatty acid profile that I'm eating, and they should be eating a species appropriate diet. They should not be eating, seed oils. So, that matters as well, and that's a big hidden source. Now, but we don't want to swing the pendulum too far, and this is what I see happening. It's like we go to such extremes in the health space, and we go to such extremes in general. We're like, oh my God, I should never have a seed oil again. I need to like be like, we get like rigid and dogmatic and like crazy thinking about it. And I get why, but nuance really does matter. So reducing seed oils does not mean omega fats are completely bad for you, and you should never have an omega. You should never have a pumpkin seed again. You should never have a walnut again, right? These are healthy things that you can put in your diet in not in excess though. That's the problem. People see these, oh, walnuts are healthy. Oh, hemp seeds are healthy. Oh, flax is healthy. Like they think these things and they want to just like consume, 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 consume. We should be having those in very small amounts. They're like a little, like a dessert almost, like in the diet, like a very small amount of things that we need, right? So it doesn't mean never eat salmon or sardines or nuts or seeds or fearing foods that naturally contain omega-6. We don't want to fear foods that naturally contain it. We don't want to heat them to high temperatures. We don't want to make oils from these things. but we don't need to eliminate every source of linoleic acid, okay? It's this kind of black and white thinking that really creates food fear. And one thing I've been working on in myself is eliminating food fear because of the history that I've had with food fear. Remember, I got sick, extreme pain, extreme depression, suicidal depression, and insomnia. And I was like, it's the food, it's the food, it's the food, because that's what all of the nutritionists say. That's what all the functional medicine doctors say. So I was limiting all of these things. So when I got sick, well, since I dealt with chronic illness in 2021, I have been eating a very, very low PUFA diet for years. And of course, I'm sure that's helped support me, like removing those, which it takes years for your cells to regenerate. Okay. It does years. But I'm at this place now where I'm much more lenient. Like, I'm not like, oh, I'm never going to go out to a restaurant again, or I'm never going to have, nuts and seeds, or I'm never going to eat, conventional eggs if I'm out somewhere. Like it's just like I'm not rigid and dogmatic. I just, on my everyday level, I'm conscious about them, but I'm not rigid and dogmatic about it. And I love like pumpkin seed butter, and I'll have that sometimes as a treat. Do I have it every day? No, because I'm aware that that's a lot of omega 6, right? So I don't want to eat that all the time, but do I eat it sometimes? Yes. And omega 6 actually serves a purpose in the body. So linoleic acid is an essential fatty acid. It's a parent oil. If you don't know where I'm getting this information from, I actually trained with Justine Stanger. She's been on our podcast twice. And I took her, I think it was called the Cellular Cure when I took her course. And she helped open my eyes to this and taught me about how linoleic acid is actually essential, and you do want to include some of it in your diet in whole food, real form. We don't want the cell membrane to be too rigid and stiff from just saturated fats. We do want mostly saturated fats. They are healthy fats for us. Absolutely. Saturated fats are your butter, your lard if you're getting it from a good source, okay, which means they're not fed corn and soy. Um, your tallows, your coconut oil happens to be a saturated fat, right? These are saturated fats. Um, but we also do like that. One of the biggest eye-opener things I learned from her was like we do actually want to put some healthy forms of linoleic acid in our diet. And the reason why, like I was just saying, is it builds healthy cell membranes. So it helps the fluidity of the cell membranes, okay? They can get stiff and rigid when we're just eating saturated fats, which is what I did for years. I just ate saturated fats. It's that pendulum swinging. Like I was probably eating tons of seed oils back in the day, and then I swung to like never having any and just eating saturated fats. And now it's like, okay, I can zoom out and come to this balance, right, of these two things. They're essential because your body does not make it. And anytime your body doesn't make something, I just want to bring this home, okay? Linoleic acid, primary form of, omega-6 fatty acid, is actually essential, meaning your body cannot make it, you must get it from food. When something's essential, we do want to include it in the diet, like glucose. Okay, for example, people will say, you don't need glucose. You can just use gluconeogenesis, right? I thought this years ago when I was in the carnivore space, the keto space. I was like, oh, my body will just make its own sugar from protein. Well, that's a really stressful, that's a stress pathway. That's an old pathway. It's a very stressful pathway where the body's like, oh man, I really gotta like use this pathway that is like a survival pathway. It's not a way that we should be living every day. That's going to be, I was living on cortisol when I was doing the carnivore diet. I had a Dutch test, and the woman was like, you're like a 65-year-old woman who's living on chronic stress. And that even didn't even open my eyes enough. Like it took me, I was like, you probably need to whack me over the head with a rock to like get me to listen. But um seriously, that should have been eye-opening. But I went to keto and started adding in like an apple a day or some blueberries a day. Like that was gonna be like enough glucose for my cells. Your body, like if something you don't have enough of it, your body will make it. That's a signal that it's very necessary. So glucose is absolutely necessary to run our cells efficiently. And same thing with cholesterol. If you don't have enough, the liver just starts making its own. And especially when you're sick or in chronic illness, that's why you'll see cholesterol levels higher, which again is not bad. I never would demonize cholesterol. Cholesterol is good. It's an electron donor. It's an antioxidant. It's necessary to help squelch inflammation. It is there to put the fire out. But the point is the body will make it if you don't give it. So the body's like, oh, I need it. I need this to heal. I need this to heal. I mean, cholesterol is the backbone for our hormones, our brain health, our nervous system health. I mean, it has implications in when you're lacking it of Alzheimer's and dementia and things like this. We need healthy cholesterol. We need healthy fats. I'm never going to demonize healthy fats. They are so important for us, right? But we shouldn't be demonizing really anything that is whole, real food. Now, should we be eating these things in excess? Probably not, because they wouldn't come from nature in excess, right? Think about that. That's why I promote a seasonal local diet. Like what comes from nature when, and that, it's not an excess here. Okay. All right, I think I've been on that soapbox enough, but my point is we swing the pendulum so much and we get all this fear stuff in our head, right? So anyway, linoleic acid is important for healthy cell membranes. It's important for skin barrier function, hormone production, brain and nervous system health, immune system health, and reproductive health. So it's not that linoleic acid itself is the issue, it's the excess from highly processed foods alongside with a low omega-3 intake, which increases oxidative stress. So it's this hot, you're never eating, we're fearing saturated fats, we're fearing the butter, we're feeling the tallow, that's going to make me fat, the whatever, an olive oil is a monosaturated fat, monounsaturated fat. I said that 10 times trying to get my brain around it. Anyway, that one's fine. It's omega-9 mostly. So that's a good if you can get a good source of olive oil, it's fine to include in the diet, okay? Again, not in excess, not, everything in healthy balance and moderation is what I'm trying to promote here. And this doesn't take like a scientific genius to figure this out. It's just practitioners who have a bit of nuance instead of dogma and rigidity and like this is the only way. Okay. I don't love the fear mongering when it comes to anything. I think that I was in that headspace for so long. So I'm really, as a practitioner, not ever trying to fear monger anybody. Okay, so whole food forms of omega-6 are different. They are naturally found in nature and they have protective nutrients and antioxidants like minerals and fiber with them. So walnuts, almonds, pumpkin seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds. I love basil seeds. That's a great one. Do I eat that every day? No, I have it like once a month, twice a month. Like it's not a thing that you have to eat all the time. That's when we do it in excess, that's the issues. Of course, good pasture-raised eggs are going to have a balance of omega-3 and omega-6. Avocados are high in omega-6. Olives, fatty fishes like sardine and salmons. But these foods can absolutely be a part of a healthy diet. Just don't, I think when we just like overdo something, that becomes the issue. It's about creating nutrient balance in the body. I just had a video that I posted just recently about how you want to um, maybe put your information into chromometer and see what nutrients am I actually missing, right? I don't know if it does omega-3 and omega-6, but maybe the paid version does. But you can kind of gauge what you're doing. Even if you just do some research, you can kind of gauge or track in some way what you're getting and what your ratios are. So balance is the goal. Health is rarely about total elimination. It's about restoring balance. Instead of obsessing over every gram of omega-6, think of, minimize or remove, seed oils, industrial seed oils. Absolutely. I would say remove, minimize. Of course have them if I go out to a restaurant like or something. I'm not going to avoid that. Like I'm going to live my life and enjoy my life and just go back to my regular routine, back to the scheduled programming. That's what I usually say to myself, like when I go back. We're not obsessing over every gram, okay? Um, and make sure that you're eating good quality, omega-3s, right? So, you can use things like grass-fed butter, ghee, coconut oil, lard if, you have a good source. Like I said, Dutch Mills Farms is my source. Extra virgin olive oil, pastured eggs, grass-fed meats, things like this, okay? Um, so we just want to support oxidative balance. Fat metabolism also depends on oxidation protection, meaning you want to eat fruits and veggies, vitamin E rich foods, which are very helpful as a very helpful antioxidant, polyphenols, selenium, stable blood sugar. lowering overall inflammation burden. So the conversation around seed oil has become highly polarized. And most people should probably reduce their industrial seed oil seed oil consumption because that's hugely inflammatory for the body. But that doesn't mean all omega-6 are harmful. And linoleic acid is essential. It's just we need them from whole food fats that are beneficial, and it balance matters more than fear. So we just need very small amounts, but we don't want to have fear around it. Okay. We just sometimes we can swing the pendulum too far in one direction, and the goal is to bring it back to center. And a client of mine asked me to bring this into the conversation. So that's why I wanted to have this nuanced conversation about it. So less processed, more whole food, better balance. That's where healing happens. And I just want to say how I do it in my life because I know that was one of the things that this woman asked me. She's like, how do you find this balance in your life? Well, I mostly eat butter and olive oil. Those are like my two fats that I like. I love the taste of butter and olive oil. So those are my main fats. That's what I cook with. That's what I do on an everyday basis. I mostly eat eggs that are corn and soy free, chicken that's corn and soy free, pork that's fed grass-fed milk. I eat beef, of course, and I eat lamb sometimes, and I eat fish, but I don't eat just salmon. I also eat whitefish like halibut, and I eat haddock and I eat cod. So, and I eat shrimp and I eat scallops, right? So I have a variety of things and I'm getting a variety of minerals too from those different items. And then when it comes to like, I eat fruits and vegetables and I do eat a couple of sources of grains that are gluten free and then, and things like that. And then I also will eat things like here and there, I make homemade granola and I put some walnuts and some pecans in it. And it's like 1/4 of a cup in the whole, 2 cups of granola. Like it's not like a ton, it's just a very small amount. And I will occasionally go out to eat with my family and not have a panic attack about having seed oils, right? And I will, I just there's nuance about it. Do I use cook with canola oil? No. Do I use safflower oil? No. Do I avoid those things? I don't eat processed and packaged foods, so I avoid those things as much as possible. I read labels. I'm very attentive. Like I said, I was looking for dried fruit that didn't have seed oils. Like I'm very attentive to those things. I'm very aware, but I do sometimes I love basil seeds that they're kind of like chia seeds and they're a really good source of gamma linoleic acid, which is very important for us because most people are very deficient in gamma linoleic acid, which is something I also learned from Justine Stanger when I took her course. And you can have those. I have that like I haven't had it in a while. Like I think I also very much pay attention to my cravings and what I'm desiring because I think that there's a big component there of what that actually means in the world, like in your listening to your body and what it's actually craving. But anyway, I soak them in water and then they become really big and they're a big source of fiber and they're really healthy. Like so that's one thing that I'll eat. Or like I said, I'll eat pumpkin butter or sunflower seeds. Do I eat these things on a daily regular? No, I'm very aware of how to create a balance in my system, and I also help clients with the same. So if you need support, I'm here. I do take nutrition clients. You can book a lifestyle and nutrition session on my website and go check it out. If you're interested, that of course we'll have follow-ups. I go over your light environment, your cellular hydration. I go over your nutrition. I go over, all kinds of things in that, your exercise programs, all of these things. I don't write you exercise programs. I just maybe want you to reduce or up certain things. So it's like kind of like a lifestyle audit and it includes nutrition. So anyway, if that interests you, you can go check it out. I hope this has been helpful. I hope it brings some nuance to the conversation because again, I'm just not about rigidity, dogma, or fear, but I want us to have knowledge and understanding of how these things impact us and then make good educated decisions, not based off of thinking like, oh my God, linoleic acid is the worst thing and I should have completely avoided it like the plague no matter what, even in whole real food. That's where I think we're getting too much over the edge personally. Um, so highly processed foods, different story. Okay. That's not, I don't even consider that real food. Like if you go buy a box of Lucky Charms, I don't even consider that food in my brain. Like that's not food. If you can't grow it and it doesn't come from nature, I don't think of it as a food item personally. All right, I hope that was very helpful. I will catch you guys in the next video. Have a wonderful rest of your day and please let me know in the comments your thoughts. I'd love to hear them. All right, chat with you guys again soon.